What's up, people? We're back
Yep.
with the music segment. No more listening to Steve bitch and moan about fucking tackling in football.
God damn. No, this is a music segment.
Now we get to hear me bitch and moan about music.
Yeah, bitch and moan about me. His time to bitch and moan. So this is top 5 edition of Beer Night.
So
Now, real quick before we start, I did do a top 5 playlist of all our top 5s. So make sure you go on our YouTube channel, click on the playlist, and you'll see our top 5 edition of all we've done so far in our journey. Almost 3 years in.
has it been that long?
Almost 3 years in. So this is Beer Night episode 20, top 5 edition.
So we're doing something special for this episode because
his idea.
So the Godfather, the old man, the elder statesman, the grandpa of metal, Ozzy, just came out with a new album, Patient Number 9.
Yeah. What do you think about the new album?
It's really good.
I like it too. I like the guitar work.
Really good.
Definitely in it. I mean, you have Tony Iommi on it. Fucking I think 4 or 5 songs.
2.
Is it 2?
2 songs.
I thought it was more than that.
Zach Wilde is the one.
Is the 4 or 5? 4 or 5. Yeah.
I think it's 5.
Yeah.
Jeff Beck. There's 2. Then there's Clapton and Mike McCready. And then two Iommi songs. So what's cool about it is that the last Ozzy album, Ordinary Man, had potential. But my biggest complaint was the guitar playing because the guitar playing was all done by his producer. And it's a noticeable drop off because if you followed Ozzy's career at all, he's had a knack for just finding amazing guitar players.
Oh yeah. Always.
So when you don't have that, it's a noticeable drop off. It was really noticeable to where it just hurt the album really badly. So it's almost kind of like this one is like trying almost too hard to make up for it. It's like, okay, so last album we didn't have any guitarists. Yeah, so this album we're going to have 6.
It's fucking heavy as fuck.
It's great.
Too.
It's great. Now,
great guitar work.
But again, so the last 2 songs on the album have the producer playing the guitar. And again, you can tell it's a noticeable drop off. Yeah. It's like one of them is still a pretty good song, Dead and Gone, I think it's called. That's a pretty good song, but again, it's just not it doesn't have the punch and the fire that the other ones that all the other ones have.
You could tell his voice is definitely different. It's still the Ozzy voice and his old Ozzy voice for sure. He's old as fuck, so he's still living life too. It's crazy as fuck that he's still around these days.
He's got Parkinson's, so
yeah. So you can definitely tell from was it Scream was his last album before the last 2, right?
Before Ordinary Man it was Scream.
Yeah. So you can definitely tell his voice definitely has changed in the last 2 albums for sure. But this is our top 5.
So we're doing a top 5 Ozzy
albums
to kind of just top 5 Ozzy albums to kind of just I guess celebrate the new album because I feel like it's a pretty big success and I feel like it got a lot of notoriety. I think it sold pretty well too. So it's kind of a I don't want to say a comeback because he never really left, but and even the last album was fairly popular from what I remember. But it seemed like a good time to do it. He's going to be wrapping it up sometime soon, so we got to give some love to the Ozzy albums.
Damn right. I'll start first, but before we start, you know how Ozzy was on one of the NFL game halftime shows, right? Everyone was bitching that why didn't you guys show it?
They didn't show it.
Hello, they don't fucking show halftime shows on regular season games. It's only for really the Super Bowl. Maybe. Super Bowl, I don't even think they're doing it on playoffs either.
No, not really.
It's a Super Bowl, so you have to be there live to experience it. Really, they'll show nitpicks of it, right?
But where I am behind the people is I don't give a fuck about all that other crap. No. It's Ozzy.
It's Ozzy, bro.
Stop the talking heads and let Ozzy fucking play.
Let Ozzy fucking play. Show us some Ozzy.
I mean,
but
come on,
they never do that though.
Like, how often do they have good shit at the halftime show? It's like
never. Hardly ever.
You got like The Godfather there. You might as well put him on the TV. Yeah. Fuck everything else. Who cares? Yeah. Like we can go away from your standard programming for one halftime. But neither here nor there, I guess.
I'll go ahead and start my top 5 Ozzy albums of all times. I'm gonna go number 5. No More Tears is my number 5.
Interesting. Number 5.
Number 5. No More Tears.
Okay.
It's a good album. Solid songwriting. Solid guitar work. Solid Ozzy just like melodies and great stuff. And
that's what Ozzy's great at, man.
Great melodies. Great. It falls off towards the end of the album, though.
Really? You think so?
I think it does. I think it just falls off a little bit.
You got Road to Nowhere closing it? Like,
I mean, that's good. But like the middle end is still kind of like, it's not a perfect good album, but it is definitely top 5 worthy. It's great songs. Like I didn't even like the beginning. Mr. Tinker Train's great. No More Tears, obviously, the fucking epic of that song is great. I mean, the iconic Mama Is Coming Home is fantastic.
Mama Is Coming Home.
I'm coming home. That's a great album. Number 5 right there. Number 4, Osmosis. Making the top 5. Yeah. Number 4. Heavy as fuck. Just a heavy fucking album.
Underrated.
Very underrated album.
Underrated.
I love the Perry Mason opens that, right?
Yeah.
Fucking just fucking heavy as fuck. Especially the ending of that song is just just a headbanging fucking track. So Zach plays on that album, right? Yeah. But he doesn't go out with him live on that album.
He played on the recording, and then Joe Holmes was the touring guitarist.
Yeah. But just some great songs on that fucking track. What's that? I'm trying to think of that track. The See You on the Other Side.
See You on the Other Side, yeah.
Great fucking track. I love that song.
Amazing song.
Incredible. It's got some great heavy tunes on that album. It's not, I don't know. I'm kind of blanking on the songs right now off the top of my head.
I know all the songs.
I know you know all the songs. What
I can probably tell you how long they are, too.
What song stands out for you on that one real quick? Just give me a song. Because I know it's probably in your top 5. But
you getting the spoilers here?
Spoilers.
So
just give me a song real quick. I'm blanking on a song.
What about, you mentioned Perry Mason and See on the Other Side. What about Tomorrow?
Oh, there we go. Great fucking song right there. Make sure you guys listen to Osmosis. It's a very underrated album.
Very underrated, yeah.
No one, for some reason, nobody likes that album. It's a lot.
A lot of people
don't like it.
A lot of people do like it. So I wouldn't say a lot of people don't like it. A lot of people do, but it seems
like a lot of hate on that album. Online anyway.
Well, there's hate for everything online. So, but it flies underneath the radar a lot because I think it's because it came out in the 90s at the peak of grunge, so it kind of went underneath the radar a little bit. And it's definitely a hidden gem album. Like it's you listen to that and it's like this is fucking great,
heavy, and it's fucking heavy,
it came out like I said, the peak of grunge. So it was it just kind of I think it just kind of went underneath the radar and just was when a lot of people were kind of writing Ozzy off as he was kind of at the end and like. He also, a lot of this was somewhat self-inflicted too because the No More Tears was the album that came before that and it was his highest selling album, his most successful. And then he also did the No More Tours, which is supposed to be his retirement tour. We know how that went.
He's still retiring.
There's no retirement for Ozzy.
He's still retiring these days.
So I think like he kind of, and then all of a sudden he came back with Osmosis and it was a different album. It's darker.
It's very darker. Very heavy too. Just
moodier and just kind of
the
like
guitar tone has changed.
Yeah,
No More Tears.
It was chunkier and it was just different. Like it's definitely an acquired taste.
Yeah.
It's not an album you listen to the first time and it just grabs you like No More Tears, for example. It's more of like the more you listen to it, you're like, this is like really fucking good. Like it's definitely a deep cut of an album and it just has that quality to it.
Yeah.
What is interesting is because with that album is where they started Ozfest which
Ozfest came from that album.
Yeah, it became a huge deal, but not really because of the album. It was more on the legend of Ozzy. I think that was carrying Ozfest, and not necessarily just that album. So, but that album definitely flies underneath the radar.
My number 3, I got Diary of a Madman. Number 3. It opens fucking fantastic, closes fantastic. All the songs in between are just amazing. I mean, there's not really much more to say. This is his second album with
Randy Rhoads.
Randy Rhoads.
It's a bona fide classic.
Classic. Yes. There's no way you can't put that in your top 5 at all.
Yeah, no, for sure.
It should be definitely up there in your top 5.
It's not mine, but whatever. Continue.
The fuck is not? Oh my, good God.
But there's no way you can't put it in your top 5.
No. Apparently, fucking him can't fucking do it. The fuck. I guess.
My number 1 album is The Ultimate Sin.
You fucking threw me off. Fuck. My number 2. I was jumping to my number 2. Scream.
Scream is your
Scream is number 2.
Number fucking 2. Okay, this is controversial.
Yes.
Really? Number 2.
Every song.
Better than Diary of a Madman?
Every song on Scream is fantastic except for the title track.
Yeah, let me hear you scream.
I don't
like it either.
I don't like the title track.
I don't like it.
Every other song on that album is fantastic.
It's a really good album.
Who's the guitar? Who's Jake?
Just G.
Gus G.
Not Just.
Gus G does a fantastic job. Yeah. It's a fucking heavy fucking album.
It's kind of a surprising album.
It is too.
You almost weren't expecting it, even though Black Rain was pretty heavy. But there was a long gap between Black Rain and Scream. Yeah, and then Scream came out and was like, I like Black Rain a lot, but Scream almost had better songwriting.
Yeah. And let me get real quick I forget some of the songs on here. It's blanking on me here. So I love Let It Die, like opening with that fucking track is so heavy as fuck. Ozzy sings really well on that song. Soul Sucker's awesome. Fucking heavy.
Great guitar solo by
all these songs. Life Won't Wait is a fucking just
good ballad.
Good ballad. Fantastic ballad. Digging Me Down's heavy. Crucify, heavy. I love Time.
Another good ballad. Yeah.
Good ballad. And then at the end, it has like a 2-minute or a minute 30, like I Love You All. Yeah. Kind of like saying goodbye, but he doesn't fucking really say goodbye.
Yeah, he never really fully retires.
No. But
that was his last album for a while. Ordinary Man came out a long time
after that. Yeah. My number 1 is, come on, Blizzard of Oz. Obviously, right? I love every song off this album. Yeah. Honestly, even going with Goodbye to Romance.
Goodbye to Romance is a great ballad. Come
on. I love Revelations, Mother Earth.
Of course, everybody loves that one.
Love that fucking song.
You can't fuck with that one.
No, you can't. Even You Looking at Me, Looking at You. Looking at Me, Looking at You, right? I love that song. It's just such a good catch. It's a good fucking vibe to it. Yeah. I love that fucking song. You can't go wrong with the first Ozzy Osbourne coming off of after Black Sabbath. What's more to say? The classics are on it.
It's a classic.
Crazy Train. You can't go wrong with that fucking album. I don't know. D is on there. Yeah. I can't blink on D. Fucking like a 46 seconds. Yeah. Just a fucking amazing acoustic, classical fucking acoustic. Yeah. It's great stuff. That's my top 5. I don't have really honorable mentions because you can fucking just the rest of Ozzy's albums are honorable mentions. So that is my top 5. I guess you're fucking different than me. You don't fucking have Diary of a Madman in your fucking top 5. I don't know what the fuck you're doing. Because you start with Over the Mountain on Diary of the Madman. Just fucking nonsense. How do you not have that fucking album in your top 5? Good God.
You're going to have a lot of fun rewatching this video.
God damn it.
This segment's going to be really fun for him to edit.
Oh, don't do this to me.
So, number 5.
Yeah.
I think I'm going to... So this was tough for me. Mm-hmm. One of them, the loser in this spot is going to the honorable mentions, and I'll get to that. Mm-hmm. I was debating. This is the hardest slot for me, honestly, was the fifth. The fifth best. I think I'm going to go with Patient Number 9, the new one.
Really?
I think so.
How many times have you listened to it so far?
Like 4?
4 times?
4?
I'm 2, so.
But it grabbed me right from the get-go. Yeah. So not all albums do that. We mentioned Osmosis, so that's more of a grower, right? It's more of an acquired taste. And there's nothing wrong with that either. Like there's some people that think if an album doesn't grab you right away, that it must not be good. No. Some of my favorite albums of all time are growers and not showers. Sometimes you gotta listen to an album 3 or 4 times before you finally get and understand what's happening there.
I agree with that. Yeah.
It's a piece of art, right? Sometimes you have to absorb it, but there's other times when stuff grabs you right away. Diary of a Madman is a good example of that. There's No More Tears is a good example of that. Patient Number 9 to me is a good example of that as well. Every song, I mentioned the last 2 songs, there's a little bit of a drop off, but they're still pretty good. But every song up until that point is just immediately like the guitar playing is great, and I love the variants of the guitar players, like hearing Jeff Beck into Mike McCready into Zach into Tony.
It's a great Zach
into Tony Iommi and then
give us a
back Jeff Beck, Clapton, and then Zach just like hammers it for like 4 songs in a row. It's just awesome. It's awesome, and guitar players aside, Ozzy's in top form, man. With his hooks.
Melodies and hooks,
dude.
Nails it.
His writing is still top tier. His vocal melodies. What I've always appreciated, because I was a Black Sabbath fan before I was an Ozzy solo fan. Yeah. I got into Black Sabbath first, and I decided one day, it was kind of one of those things where I'm just like, I need to start, I guess, listening to Ozzy solo stuff, and I was young at this point. And one of the things that always struck me whenever I'd get a new Ozzy album, and a lot of them weren't new, but they were new to me. Like I hadn't gotten them yet, so I'd get it. And this is back when you actually had to get an album, right? You couldn't just stream it. I'd go and buy it, and I'd listen to it. And I'm like, there's a familiarity. Like his hooks are so infectious that it's almost like I've heard this before. I feel like I've heard this before. And sometimes you have. Obviously you've heard his big songs before, but other songs like deep cuts, even songs that aren't played on the radio, songs you won't hear anywhere else unless you're spinning the album yourself. Or you hang out with douchebags like us who put deep cuts into playlists.
Oh, of course.
So then, like, you actually hear that stuff instead of just hearing Crazy Train over and over again.
You gotta hit the deep cut.
Yeah.
Deep cut
so, but there's like a familiarity there. His hooks were always so palpable and so infectious, and he's just hammering that in this album too. Like his melodies, his choruses are just like it's just top notch. Like it's quintessential Ozzy. What he's doing, what he does best. He just writes like just melodies that just stick in your head, that just grab you, and that maybe that's kind of getting off on the rails a little bit here, but maybe that's one of the things that makes Osmosis so different.
Yeah,
is it's not really like that. Like it doesn't have that standard Ozzy kind of like feel where the melodies just immediately grab you. It's more of like you have to kind of absorb and appreciate.
I can see on the other side that song is
and that was the big single, right?
Single.
Besides Perry Mason.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean that makes sense.
There's a couple like that, but maybe not all of them. Yeah.
It's a little bit deeper and darker.
Yeah.
But anyway, I digress. Patient Number 9 is great. Like it's a great return to form after what for me was disappointing in Ordinary Man.
Yeah.
Where the songs had potential, but they didn't really live up to them. Patient Number 9, they lives up to the potential. And
definitely better.
It hammers. Yeah. It hammers. Like the guitarists all do a great job, and it's just and Ozzy's in top form for his age. So and the writing is great. So it's awesome. Number 4, Osmosis.
All right.
You mentioned it.
Osmosis.
4. It's a fucking great album. Like there's like
I did have that. There's number 4.
It's a great fucking underappreciated album.
It is.
That the songs. Okay, so here's the differentiation to me. The songs aren't as radio friendly, which is kind of what what I was getting at with the melody stuff. Yeah. They're not. They're longer. They're darker. There's more atmosphere going on. The production is way different.
It's way
The drums
bigger and just feels more like
it's very bombastic.
Yeah.
Like the drums have this just weird kind of like tone where they're almost popping out of your speakers.
Mm-hmm.
The bass is nasty, and Geezer, by the way.
Geezer's on it
It's
too.
Geezer's Butler.
Yeah, come on now.
And it's the only album he ever recorded with Ozzy outside of Black Sabbath.
I forget. Sometimes you forget he's on that album.
Yeah, and you can tell. Like the bass is nasty.
Yeah, it is.
It's nasty.
It's nasty.
And Zach's guitars are even sound different from the other Zach albums. And for my money, it's the second best Zach Wild album. Spoiler alert, which to me is saying something because he's played on 6 Ozzy albums, I think.
I think it's
6.
I think it's 6. Oh, you
so,
know more than me.
Well, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I guess 5. But so to me that's saying something. So, and it's just Perry Mason. I Just Want You. See You on the Other Side. Tomorrow. Yeah. My Little Man. My Jekyll Doesn't Hide.
Thunder Underworld too.
Thunder Underground. Thunder Underground's great. Yeah. And even the lesser known songs, like the writing is still really good. The lyricism is really good. It's some of Ozzy's best lyrics. Mm-hmm. Like even the songs that I don't spin all the time, like Ghost Behind My Eyes and Denial and stuff like that. They're still really well written songs. So it's great. It's a great undersold album. So
Perry Mason just gets me every time.
Yeah.
Just gets me every time. Great fucking song.
Yeah, it's great. And See You on the Other Side is one of the best.
Yeah.
For my money, one of the best songs ever. So deep and heartfelt and just chills up and down your spine. Number 3.
Number 3.
3. I'm gonna go Diary of a Madman.
I thought you didn't put that in your top 5.
I was just kidding.
Oh my god, that's my number 3 as well. That's a good call. I like it.
So
there you go.
To me, it was a toss up between this and my number 2.
Yeah.
So and I decided to go this at number 3, which I'll get into why number 2 took it.
I love Believer. I forgot about Believer's on there.
Believer's great.
Damn.
Over the Mountain is one of the best Ozzy songs ever. You Can't Kill Rock and Roll is a great ballad.
Great ballad.
And then Diary of a Madman.
The end of the album
is one of the best hard rock metal songs. One of the best songs ever. Just it's written so well, and it's different. It has the haunting mood that Ozzy is known for, but it has like that little weird kind of syncopated beat in the verses that just make it a little bit different, a little odd. And his melodies are haunting and his lyrics are haunting in it. And then Randy Rhoads' guitar work is just ridiculous.
So if you go back in our top 5 playlist, look up top 5 ending songs. I think you put
Diary.
I think you put Diary in your top 5 ending songs.
It should be up there. It probably should be up there.
So go back into our playlist, look up top 5 ending songs of all time. And I think Chris put that song in there.
So there's a couple of moments. Tonight, I'm not that big of a fan of as a ballad.
It's okay.
Sato, I'm not that big of a fan of. So those 2 songs are a little bit weak for me. Yeah. But overall, as an album, it's fantastic. It's classic.
Second album with Randy, it's great.
And the songwriting and just everything is it's just so like it crushes. It really does.
You can definitely tell the evolution from the first album to Diary.
Blizzard,
you can definitely tell.
And it just crushes like even just like You Can't Kill Rock and Roll, which is like the epic ballad along the lines of like Revelation. Just the guitar riffs and everything, just how it slams. It's just with Ozzy's melodies, like they were definitely in sync with what they're doing. And what's crazy about this album, kind of like the first Black Sabbath album, is it was rushed. Like they recorded it quickly, and it's still a bona fide classic. Like that tells you where they were creatively and how good they were. Number 2, I'm going Blizzard of Oz.
Number 2, not number 1. Oh my god.
No, so this is interchangeable to me with Diary. Yeah. I have to put Blizzard ahead of Diary.
Oh yeah, most.
Just because to me it's a game changer. Yeah. It was released 1980, 1979, 1980.
I think it's 80.
So
flat out 80.
Like when you listen to other music coming out, it reminds me. It's a game changer in the way that Kill 'Em All was.
Yeah.
Kill 'Em All gets more credit for being a game changer because it started a whole new genre. But when I listen back on those albums now, when I listen back on the first Black Sabbath album, Kill 'Em All, and the first Ozzy album, Blizzard of Oz, I listen back on them now, it's like, whoa, this is a game changer to me.
Yeah.
Randy's guitar playing. The only person that was doing stuff like that was Eddie Van Halen, and they were not playing the same kind of music.
No, exactly.
Van Halen was much more party rock, kind of put a smile on your face. Ozzy came with this dark, kind of ominous, you know, heavy metal, essentially, with a super dynamic guitar player. And then Ozzy comes in with these melodies that were just, nobody was doing that. I feel like it's kind of an unsung hero that it really paved the way for a lot of the melodic metal that was in the 80s.
Yeah.
Because Ozzy would write these melodies that just are infectious and that stick in your head, and he's still doing it now.
Stick in your head.
And there's behind this band was behind him that was doing really dynamic things musically, but they still fit into were essentially radio friendly metal songs, right? And you know that to a lot of metal elitists that sounds kind of taboo. But they did it so well, and it's so classic. And then you still have shit like Revelation Mother Earth, which is an incredibly well-written song. Mr. Crowley, which is, insanely good. And then you have like the more radio-friendly songs like I Don't Know, Crazy Train, of course. Crazy Train, come on. If Crazy Train is
played
one of the
every stadium,
but
every
it's so good.
Ever.
Like the riff is so good, the solo is so good. Ozzy's vocals and melodies are so good. It never gets old, even though it could qualify as a played out song. It still never really gets old. Good, yeah. And then
It was funny. My daughter loves that song.
It's a great song. It's super fun to play on guitar, by the way.
10-year-old.
You have Goodbye to Romance is a great ballad. You have Suicide Solution, which for me the live version is even better because you have Randy's guitar solo in there. And then Mr. Crowley is insanely good. Revelation Mother Earth. So the only thing that keeps it from number one to me is that I feel like towards the end it loses a little bit of steam.
Yeah.
Steal Away the Night is a fun song.
I still love that song.
It's a fun song, but it kind of loses the feel.
Yeah.
It's
of
more
what the album.
It's a little bit more arena rock.
A little bit
more arena rockish. A little bit more glam rockish, I guess you could say. It's still not a bad song. It still works. No Bone Movies, kind of the same deal, right? But luckily you have sandwiched in between those, you have Revelation Mother Earth, which just kind of like reminds you how great this album is and how much of a game changer it was. I really think it paved the way, a lot of the way for, now you had other bands that were doing similar stuff. You had Judas Priest, right? You had a lot of the new wave of British heavy metal bands like Iron Maiden, of course, right? That's the big one. But there was a smaller bands as well. Yeah. But what I think Ozzy did differently is he had a more dynamic guitar player for one.
Yeah.
But also his melodies were just better. Like they just had more consistency, song to song to song to song. Iron Maiden had some great melodies, but they would lose you from time to time. You would get more lost in what the music was doing, which is fine. But Ozzy crossed it over to where it was more palatable to a wider range of listeners, which is not a bad thing. A lot of metalheads tend to view that as a bad thing.
Yeah,
we want it just to be for us and fuck the mainstream.
Oh.
But Ozzy helped take it to the next level, 100%. 100%. That album was definitely a game changer, especially when you listen back to it now and think about all the albums that came after that were doing a lot of the things they were doing. It's definitely a game changer.
Big time. Number
one with a bullet is, I don't know how you had this number 5. It's No More Tears.
Yeah, I was about to say No More Tears.
It's No More Tears because
No More Tears number 1, huh?
It's his most consistent album, despite Zombie Stomp and AVH being not that great. But you have fucking like 10 songs before that just absolutely kill.
It kills.
It's one song after the other. It's like, I ain't skipping this one. Nope, not skipping this one. No. Every song is great. And then so by the time you get to the end, it's also like probably his longest album besides Osmosis.
It is like
Osmosis. There's 12 songs.
This is what, 13, 14 songs?
I said 12. It 12? Could be 13.
I think it's 13.
It might even be 11. I don't know.
That's long.
So Osmosis is probably a longer album overall because the songs are longer. But
it's 13.
It is 13.
Yeah.
Okay, so I was actually right when I said like the first 10 tracks were just bang, 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 banger, 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 nonstop. And then it slows down a little bit with Zombie Stomp and AVH, but then it closes with Road to Nowhere, which is another great Ozzy ballad. It's just great. Like the album, I want to say it might have been the first Ozzy album I got. Yeah. Maybe. And it was definitely an eye-opener. I was like, whoa, because you listen to it, it's just like, again, banger, 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 banger. Just never stops. Never. Even the ballads. Mama, I'm Coming Home and Time After Time. It's like great fucking songs. Great melodies. Great guitar playing. Great everything. Like it just never stops. And it's for me, it's his most consistent album. And that's what makes it number one. It's just super consistent. The writing is perfect. Like the melodies and everything is the guitar playing. Zach is going out of his mind on that album.
Yeah, was that his first album? Second.
No Rest for the Wicked was his first album.
For
and by the way, so No Rest for the Wicked, when they recorded that album, I think Zach was like 20, 21.
Youngling.
And so No More Tears, he was like,
Jesus Christ.
He was like 23, 24 and just recorded some of the most legendary
fucking songs, yeah.
So okay, so you got Mr. Tinker Train, I Don't Want to Change the World, Mama, I'm Coming Home, Desire, No More Tears, Hellraiser, Time After Time. Like, it just keeps going and going and going. Like,
good album. Good number one.
Sin's a great song. Like, Road to Nowhere. Like, it's great fucking album. It's just impeccable. Damn near impeccable. That's my number one. Honorable mentions. So, Scream. Scream was my number 5 that I bumped out for patient number 9. Okay. Scream's a great album. Like, super, super overlooked because it's new. It's newer Ozzy, and people kind of wrote off newer Ozzy, right? It's really fucking good. Like, that album slams.
So fucking good.
Other than Let Me Hear You Scream, the album slams. Like, it's just fucking awesome. It's a great album. Black Rain's actually really good too. The one that came before that, with Zakk Wylde. That's a really good album. It's got a lot of really great songs on there. It kind of wavers in the middle just a touch, but it still has a lot of awesome shit on there. And I think that's probably. I know I'm not mentioning the Jake E. Lee albums for all you deep cutists out there. I love both of them, but they just don't quite have the consistency to measure up to some of the other ones. Same thing with Down to Earth. Down to Earth has some great moments. The 4th album was Zakk Wylde, I guess. Technically, he's been on 6. If you count patient number 9, he's been on 6 albums.
Well, there you go.
So, yeah.
All right. Well, that is our top 5.
Oh, how about another honorable mention? What? The live album, Tribute with Randy Rhoads.
You did that one? Okay.
Can't go wrong with that. That's great. It's a live album, so
I like Live at Budokan. Live at Budokan is good.
Yeah, that's more of a live video, not really live.
I guess. All right. I mean, I do have the live album of that.
Okay. Whatever. I have the live Blu-ray or DVD, some shit.
Probably
like that.
DVD. I don't think.
Am I missing one? Am I missing an honorable mention? I don't know.
So. Come
down. I think I about
covered
all the shit.
You can just fucking say every other Ozzy album's honorable mention.
Like you did?
Pretty much.
Copped out and
like.
Okay, so I mentioned I'm overlooking the Jake E. Lee albums. I'm also overlooking No Rest for the Wicked a little bit.
Yeah. It's okay. It's okay.
It's good. Yeah. It's good. I don't think it's as good as Scream. And I don't think it's as good as Black Rain, my other 2 honorable mentions. I think those... No Rest for the Wicked gets credit for being an earlier Ozzy album. I think people overrated it a little bit because of that. Yeah. Whereas they kind of write off the newer stuff because it's newer, and the newer is never... new. But it's still got some great songs on there. Miracle Man. Fire in the Sky is one of my favorite Ozzy songs. I love Fire in the Sky. So that's on that album, so it can't be that bad, right? And, Bloodbath in Paradise. It's got some good shit on there.
All right. Perfect. That is our top 5 Ozzy
I just gave an honorable mention to an album that's not actually on my honorable mentions. Chew on that.
There you go. That's what you get. Zach, what's your favorite?
Zach? You got any opinion on this? Sweet shirt, by the way.
Yeah, Blizzard of Oz is your number 1, huh? All right.
I mean, he looks like a Blizzard of Oz.
Yeah, I think he
sure.
does.
I mean, you can't go wrong. That's a great number 1. It's great. I mean,
you're the man.
Again, game changer.
You man, that's the problem.
So one thing, okay, before we close up here, one thing I didn't mention about Blizzard of Oz being a game changer, besides being a game changer musically and influencing so many bands that came after it, we also have to realize what it did for Ozzy's career.
Oh, yeah.
Because he was written off.
Very much written
because
off.
Because Black Sabbath got Ronnie James Dio, who's a more dynamic singer. And they were viewed as being the, like, they were leaving Ozzy behind, right? Ozzy was this wild man, drunk, kind of worthless.
Ready
he's
to die.
Washed up. And so Black Sabbath was viewed as moving on, right? They had the next album, they were like going to be something, and Ozzy wasn't. And then Ozzy drops a fucking bomb on everybody with Blizzard of Oz, and
banger after banger,
and completely blows away anything Black Sabbath ever did after that. I hate to say it, I love Sabbath, but they never achieved near the success that Ozzy did. This is facts.
Yeah,
facts is facts. Ozzy went on to be the Godfather, and Black Sabbath went on to be that band that Ozzy used to be in.
Yeah, exactly.
So, game changer. Again, game changer. And I don't think it gets the credit it deserves as being that of an album.
I think it does. I think it does give credit because...
It does,
I mean, if you watch documentaries on Ozzy Osbourne, they definitely showcase, like, his early years after Black Sabbath and crediting.
What it is, I feel like we kind of take it for granted.
No, maybe we take it for granted. Maybe we do.
We don't treat it like the first Black Sabbath album or Kill 'Em All, where we're just like, this is an absolute game changer. We don't quite treat it like that.
Maybe
we treat it as a classic album.
Maybe classic. I think we treat it as a classic album.
But that's not enough.
Maybe,
that's my point.
It's not enough. Not enough for you.
Because Kill 'Em All is not a classic album.
It's a game
Black
changer
Sabbath, the first Black Sabbath album is not a classic album. Those are game changers. Like, it changed everything. It changed music. And I feel like Blizzard of Oz is on that level. Maybe not quite to them. It might be a number 3 to their 1 and 2, however you put them 1 and 2. But it's right there.
Yeah.
It's right there. And I feel like we say, oh, that's a classic. But no, like, what it did, it totally changed the perspective on Ozzy, for one, like we just said. But also influenced so many bands that were to come after it in the 80s.
Yeah.
And then, not to mention what Randy Rhoads did for guitarists.
Big time, yeah.
Like, it's huge. It's huge, and it almost doesn't, I feel like it's almost kind of undersold on that level. Anyway.
Well, there you go.
And rant. We talked about this.
Yes,
we warned you.
It's going to be ranty. That's our top 5 Ozzy Osbourne albums of all time. If you don't like our top 5s, well, tough fucking shit.
Yeah.
Put it in the comments and what your top 5s are.
Yeah,
and
input is welcomed. Just as long as you're aware ahead of time that you're wrong, unless you agree with us.
Yeah, exactly.
And Zach, I gotta tell you, your top 5, riveting.
Fucking just
amazing.
Top notch.
Your analysis, unmatched.
Great shit.
Unmatched.
Can't top Zach at all. Just can't do it. Keep watching episode 20 of Beer Night. We got more content coming your way. Stay tuned.